I recently got a video response, or a video done by my good friend Rob, KO Boxing, who writes occasionally for Doghouse Boxing, but he's also a cricket fan and an Aussie. And he said to me, "Yes, man, we got the Ashes back." And I'm like, "Well, congratulations." And you know what? I haven't watched cricket for a while, and I have to say, there was nothing more pleasurable than watching England get absolutely hammered by the Aussies. Somebody's saying, "Well, hold on, you're from the UK, shouldn't you be supporting the English?" Well, having been a former coach in the UK and having seen the system in the UK, England, whether it be in football, cricket, rugby, whatever sport England seems to take part in or participate in, when they participate in any sport, they're very quick to say their players are the best in the world. And I don't know who these experts are that keep saying that their players are the best in the world. They may pull off one or two good performances and they suddenly become the best in the world in their eyes. And then when they come up against, some of the leading players in the world or the leading teams in the world, they never seem to, fulfill that potential. Now, here's where I have a problem with England. They won the Ashes against an Australia side that was going through turmoil. And before that, they would beat the Aussies when they weren't playing the greatest of cricket. Now, the bullies, and which I call England, have gone to Australia and got a taste of their own medicine handed back at them. Now, if you are the best in the world, the best test playing nation in the world, then you should handle adversity and intimidatory tactics and being roughed up. You should handle it like a champion and come back like a champion. But typical England, whenever you try and you put up any sort of resistance against England and you show any sort of aggressive intent against England, they fall like a pack of cards. This has always been the case, and this is not a technical thing. You can teach a man to bat all day long, right? You can work a net, you can look at all the technical things, how to get your back cliff right, or how you're bowling, or good line. Nothing to do with it. It's a psychological battle. The battle is in the mind, and the sooner the England management understand this, the better, right? They're too soft. They're too soft. Guys like Peterson are different altogether, who've come up from a different cloth. They're very arrogant in their manner and can be very macho in the way that they are and will just fight back. But that can become a bit too much when the rest of your team are not pulling their weight. I think England have got a star in the making in Stokes. I think he's a very talented batsman, very confident, and to score 100 in Australia the way he did is top quality innings. Lot of respect for him. But again, typical thing with England, like I said before, what they need to work on is their mental toughness. Their mental toughness, when it gets tough, their technique is able to stand up under pressure. And that doesn't happen with England teams. It happened in the 80s and the 90s with England, where they were not mentally tough enough. Michael Vaughan's England team were mentally tough and mentally strong. I think over the few years, England have played some cricket against some nations that really and truly have not really been up to par. Now they've met Australia, who have done a lot of grafting and have really come back together as a team. Mitchell Johnson, for example, has really come back and made an announcement on the world level because, not too long ago, Mitchell Johnson was being discarded as a fast bowler. He has come back with a vengeance, and England have had to pay for it. This time, it wasn't Shane Warne, but it was Mitchell Johnson that ran through the England side. So what do they do now? When you break England's heart in a test series, it's very rare that they come back, fight back and win a series. Well, you know what now? The Ashes have been won back by Australia, and if England want to be the best team in the world, they've got to find a way of not only just beating teams that are below them, but to beat the top teams consistently. Now that was the thing about the West Indies. When they were at the top of the table, they beat everybody all around the world, all comers. They beat everybody, and they were unbeaten in over 10 years. And there's no team in their history, in sports history, that has broken that record of being unbeaten in 10 years. Australia have tried to come close, and Australia, another team that were dominant in their era and it looks like they're going to come back and do that again. So when you're looking at world-class teams and dominance, you have to look over a period of time. Not 2-3 years, we're talking 5 and 10 years of dominance. I've beaten every team in the world, no matter where they travel in the world, they win. No excuses, no complaints, no the pitch was too hard, no there's too much spin on this pitch, oh this guy's doing this with the ball, none of the excuses, get on with it. I saw an incident where Michael Clark turned round to Jimmy Anderson and told him he's going to break his arm, and Jimmy Anderson looked like he was going to cry. Now if that's the case, and Australia I know have got they do a report on players, and if you're mentally weak, and remember James Anderson is a key player on the England side, if Michael Clark has already got inside the head of James Anderson, regardless of what sort of a fast bowler you may be in England, in Australia, when you've got the Australian captain in your ear chirping at you and showing that you can be intimidated, well, that's half the battle won, and that's your premier bowler. Another person I'd like to see step up, Stuart Broad. I'd like to see him step up and be more aggressive and be able to stand up against the, it's alright being aggressive against and hostile against teams, again, that are inferior to you. But when you have to be a bully, bullies, like I said, don't stand up when they get hit back. So people like Broad and Swan, another one, who is very cocky and a very cocky character, but when it comes down to a real fight, what's going on? Who are you? You weren't at the party. So England's key players have to stand up now and be counted. And not one man, apart from Stokes now, who's scored that century, had scored a century on tour? And you want to call yourself the best team in the world? England need to take a serious examination themselves. As for Andy Flower, he has done a fantastic job with England. Andy Flower was a tough, gritty batsman in his time, the Zimbabwean. But Andy Flower can't play for England. The mental state. Some of these guys in the UK, I have to say, get mollycoddled. What I mean by mollycoddled, they're soft, very, very soft. They get mummy and daddy to drop them to the ground. Mummy and daddy picks them up in the evenings. And, they get very treating cotton wool. And very much in England, I have to say as a coach, they're trying to cotton wool players, and if you cotton wool players by saying they've got to do this and protect them here and protect them there and protect them here, you're building players up to fail at world level. So I think that the ECB have to take a good look at the future of cricket and the players that they're bringing through. Stokes again is one player that's come through well, but they need to take a look at the mental aspect of cricketers and the mental aspect in general of what it takes to become the very best. Clive Woodward had the right idea with the rugby team, a mental strength that was able to compete against Australia and New Zealand, were the best teams in the world. That's what you need to have in your England team, in any England team, whether it be in football, in cricket, in rugby. You need to have that mental state, and to be the best is to beat the best competitively and consistently. That's with any team across the world, not just England. But I have a particular issue with England, like I said, the experts like to use the word world class far too quickly, far too prematurely, and these players that they're calling world class need to prove it over a period of years, 4 or 5 years, at the elite level, at the top, against the best teams that are around, performing at their best. Those are my thoughts. They may be controversial, it's just the truth, and we'll talk about West Indies at another time. They too have got some issues, and I certainly will talk about that as well. Well, for those of you who know me for cricket, here's my video and there are my thoughts. I'm out.